So ever since I have started building this truck, I have had no idea what I was going to do about the glow plugs. I don't like the idea of just a toggle switch or a momentary switch that you could hold too long like what this thing was originally equipped with. I just don't like any of that. The original one just had a momentary switch, and then it had one of those light slash resistors that would heat up, and as it heats up, it glows and acts like a light, and then basically you know when to release your glow plug. So you'd hold it, I guess, till it lights up and then release it. Very old-fashioned. But this thing was built in the 90s originally, and they didn't have much cheap options like we have today. There's a couple things you can do. You can buy really expensive glow plug kits that have integrated circuit timers and all kinds of complicated things, but they're really expensive. Even the simpler ones are really expensive. I looked for just cheap glow plug kits because these are very simple glow plugs. It's just a rail connecting all the glow plugs, and you supply power to it, and each glow plug grounds itself and glows as it heats up with the amperage draw. Very simple. And of course there's a bunch of old diesels that, every diesel glow plug worked that way, and manifold heaters too for the most part. So I was looking for something cheap. I didn't want to pay $100 for a glow plug kit, and I didn't feel like building anything, and it started getting to this point in the project where we're pretty much wrapping up all the engine controls and everything, and I got to thinking I just don't want to leave these glow plugs just hanging. They're on the truck, so I'd like them to work. My philosophy is that if it's part of it, it should work and function, because it's not a proper build if you just leave things hanging or disconnected, or it's not good practice. So I came up with a solution for glow plugs, relatively cheap. I think it'll work, so we're going to dig into that piece by piece, and basically I'm going to have to build the thing. So I'm going to show you how I build it, and we'll do a quick walkthrough with a little bit of explanation as we go, and hopefully you'll be able to see what we're doing as we go through that. So let's get into it. So I can run the glow plugs off of a high amperage relay, so the actual high amperage flow will go directly from the battery through the relay to the glow plugs themselves, and then we can use a low amperage switching circuit to control it. What I don't want is like a toggle switch or something that somebody can accidentally leave the glow plugs on if they're driving my truck, which they shouldn't be, but you want to prevent that from future issues, or if you sell the truck down the line, it helps the next person basically. So you can use a toggle switch, it's easy to leave on. You can use a momentary switch that you have to press and hold, that's easy to press too long. So what do? Well, I have a timer relay here, and I'm not sure if it's going to work, but we're going to see. So this will set it to seconds, so you can get anywhere from 0 to 10 seconds out of this, and you can hide this somewhere where you don't have to access it under the dash, because once it's set, it's set. So like you have a momentary switch, and then you set this to what the timer will be to keep the glow plugs on for, and then say you want it at 8 seconds, set it to 8, and every time you press the momentary switch, this timer will supply power to the glow plug relay for 8 seconds and then shut off. And if you want more, you can just press the button again. It's pretty hard to mess up unless you just sit there pressing the button over and over and over, and well, I can't fix stupid, so this is the best solution besides that one. So I don't know, let's test this and see if it works. I don't know anything about it other than they say what it does, so I don't know. Let's hook up some alligator clips here. I also have a light that will show hopefully when this is engaged. So like you'll press the button and you'll see the light come on, and wait for the timer, and this light will click off just like a normal glow plug light. I don't know. Let's kind of hook this up in a preliminary fashion and see what happens here. All right, what do we got to do here? Grab my meter.
Where's it at? Just in here?
Don't know. I figured you'd have learned by this amount of time. You want to be employed by Tradecraft Specialties?
I would if someone would tell me where it was at. I would be employed by Tradecraft Specialties. I had an employment opportunity.
Unfortunately, employment opportunities are not sprouting at the moment. Okay, so for testing this, Okay, so these pins are numbered. Recording here. So these pins are numbered. So the reset connection is 3 and 4. So we want normally opens. We want 6 and 8 is what we're going to measure.
Okay, why 6 and 8?
6 and 8. So those are going to be our outputs. Well, you see how it says common, and then you have normally open and normally closed.
Okay.
So anytime you see that, that means it's a switch situation. So this is normally open. See this diagram over here? So that is made, that shows that it pivots back and forth between the two connections from the common at the one end of the switch. I don't know with these alligator clips if I'm going to be able to run this. Yeah, it's not going to work. We're going to see if it works. It's probably
Chinesium?
It's the best Chinesium you can buy. Inputs 2 and 7.
Which is, I assume,
that's going to be
in.
power. Yep. Okay, so now we need alligator clips off of each one of these. That's not going to work very well, is it? Just have to make them seated, I guess. Might be a little tricky, but we'll make it work. Okay, I think we're ready for testing. Okay, so when we touch these two together, that would be like pressing the button to activate the glow plugs.
Okay.
So let's put it on just a couple seconds. Power light's on. We want to measure resistance, obviously, because we're measuring across it. So we have overload now. It's an open circuit. Touch them and then release them. Touch them better. Okay, what's the other? The other one is 8 and 5. 8 and 5 should be normally closed.
8 and... You don't have an alligator clip on 5.
I know, I don't, because I wasn't going to use that one.
And then 8 is that yellow one.
So that's 8 and 5 is over here?
Yes.
Okay, that one's open. Touch them together. Or, sorry, closed, I mean.
Alright,
it's not opening. Yep, release them. It's not opening. It should change something, because it's like a timed relay. Something has to start the timer, one or the other, and neither one is starting it. Alright, so I got this timer, and I think I figured out how it works. You don't put power to it all the time. You switch the power off and on, and that is what apparently helps start the timing process. So, the way I have it set up now, I have the reset hooked to one side of the switch, and have the power going through the switch. So as I switch it, it's going to both turn the power on at the same time and tell it to reset the timer, and then I'm going to switch it off and it's going to cut the power and keep running the timer. So I've got this glow plug light hooked up the way it would work, except the difference is that this would also go to the output, or this would also go to the relay to trigger the glow plugs. So it's set for 2 seconds right now. So from the time I turn this switch off, as if I was hitting a momentary button, the 2 seconds starts. So I turn it on, it goes on, and I turn it off, 1 1000, 2 1000, and it clicks off. So I don't know if it's supposed to work that way, but this way, but that's the way it works. So I just go, and it's a 2 second count, it clicks off. If I want to do it for 1 second, 1 1000, that's off. 4 seconds. It actually seems to be pretty accurate to the dial. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000. My counting's a little bit off, but you get the idea. So that is how we're going to wire it up. So this section with I need a 2-pole momentary switch because it has to do both the reset and the power. I don't think it'll work if I do this. I don't think it'll trigger it. See? Oh, it does. Okay, so it's just the reset portion that isn't working. So it should work. This should work as it's powered all the time, and then you would hit the reset, and it would go for the 8 seconds and then shut off. But it doesn't work that way. So basically, I'm going to have to do it the wrong way, which is just to cut power and then the timer will keep running until it shuts off. See, it just never shuts off this way. If I pull power, the timer keeps running. Yep. Okay, I guess you don't even need the reset. Oh, we don't even have to wire the reset into the circuit. We could just do a momentary push button on the power. Okay, that'll work. I can do that. I don't know how you're supposed to wire this, because like I said, when I wired it how it's supposed to be wired, it doesn't work. I tried it both ways, with having the reset connected and breaking it, and having the reset open and connecting it, and neither one seems to work. So I think we can do this if we just use this push button switch again by just cutting the power. So if I supply power, I think we're getting an output, or a completed circuit I should say. So it should, yep, for complete for 8 seconds. So, and maybe I can even use this switch because it's just low voltage. We're just activating the timer with, it draws very, very little amperage. I think it says what it, yeah, so that'll work. So if I wanted to run for 1 second, yep, there it is. So 0 shuts off almost right away. All the way back. That's the minimum. So we're going to go at 540. So the maximum setting of this is going to be, wait for it, 10 seconds. Now I can't go beyond 10. Okay, let's try what the actual 10 setting is. Okay. So when my camera says 6:10, this should shut off. Yep. Tends to go over 10 seconds. That's fine. Okay. That's exactly what we want. We'll just wire it like this. I need to write this down before I forget it. Or take a picture. So as far as wiring this, the actual relay, the timer block, I have shown here with the numbered contacts. And so what you do is supply ignition power both to the switch and to the circuit that's going to go through and be closed by the timer for the set length of time. So when one of these is normally open and one of these is normally closed, so when the timer is active, this closes, engages the circuit, and connects pins 6 and 8. And then it'll go through, and then this is your output, and you would have an output here out to your glow plugs in addition to the light. So the light is wired all the time between the output and, in this case, the negative, because we're switching the positive. So the light has access to negative power, and then when the switch closes inside internally and connects these two contacts, that it also has positive power, the light lights up, and then you can also have an output. So, and of course this is a momentary switch. You just, press it once and then it takes over from there. So that is as simple as it is. These are the two power contacts, in this case 7 and 2. And since we're switching the positive, that's why we have the positive hooked up to the switch. And so that's all you need. You need positive power. You need power to the output, in this case. That's not switched because it's active all the time. It's only connected internally in the timer. And then your ground is connected, in this case, all the time for the light and for the timer itself. And that's pretty much all there is to the wiring in this thing. As far as going out to the glow plugs, this goes out to a glow plug, and you'd have a standard 5-pin relay that would have a coil, and of course these contacts would activate your coil, plus and minus, and then you would connect. One of these is normally open and one of these is normally closed. So in this case, this we're gonna put in. Sorry, I have that backwards. This is going to come from the battery, and this is going to go out to the glow plugs, and then this is going to connect to power to engage the relay and close the circuit between the battery and the glow plugs. and then this would go to your negative battery post. So excuse my little messy drawing there, but I'm doing this real quick, and that is basically the whole wiring for the timer circuit and the relay to control the glow plug. So I'm thinking this little spot over here, there's an AC vent that goes here, and although I plan to put AC in the truck in the future, I don't know that I ever plan to use this vent. It's a pain both ways. It's a pain to install the vent, and it's a pain to not have the vent, because there's no AC vents for the driver past this one in the middle, but you have to run a long duct tube and everything, and it's a pain for maintenance. And since I'm naturally lazy, I have thought that I'd either put it back in as a dummy, or, you know, basically, this is a small cab. It doesn't take much to cool the air, and although it's nice to have cold air directed on you, you don't need it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, I thought I could use this spot for my glow plug controls, and I think I can do the whole thing there. So I have this template. Slide it into place here. I think it's gonna fit right in there, and it'll bolt in nicely. And I think I can put the control on the back of it. And, you know, just because there's enough room back here, so if I take my panel and I mount this on the back with 2 through screws, you're just going to see the screws here, but if I paint the screws, they'll be black, so that it's mounted on the back and it just sticks straight out the back. And I think that'll be workable. And then for maintenance, just pull it straight out, you know, undo the screws. There's 2 screws here that'll hold it in, and 1 through screw in the panel here that holds the panel in. There's a threaded section that's a clip that clips on there to screw in, and the same here that I took off for painting. I think it'll do it if I just make this out of metal. Paint it black, mount the switches like that, and then mount this on the back. And I can even go up a little higher because there was some room in there. This doesn't cover, see that metal strip there? This kind of doesn't even really cover that the way I have it set up. So I think there's plenty of room for it to stick back in there. There's just these wire bundles here that can get pushed, and that's fine. And I got all my power for 12 volt and everything back there at the same point that I can plug into. So, and ground. Power and ground, which is basically all I need, and then the out wire to the actual glow plug relay that I'm going to put in the engine compartment. I think that'll be okay. So I can fab up a plate like this, and we'll install it, and then that'll be it for engine controls and engine compartment stuff. So I have this leftover piece of, well, I think it's out of the roof of the old cab. So I think it's a little curved there. I think this will be the right thickness metal and everything. We can just cut this out, clean it up, grind it down, drill some holes. We can have a nice little setup here. Let's do that. Alright, we have our plate made up. I think we just have to paint it. Maybe a little bit more sanding, and then paint it. At least on this side. This is the front. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, that should be just enough to run and make it look bad. All right, we'll just hang that in the paint booth to dry overnight. Okay, and then next time you see that, we will be installing it. Okay, let's put this glow plug panel together. So I didn't realize it, but this is actually the switch from the windshield washer tank, so we're really using things efficiently here, I guess. I mean, not really. It's like a 50-cent switch. It's low voltage. It should be able to handle just running a relay, I think. If not, it's easily replaceable. Ooh, don't be falling on me now. Last thing I need is you breaking. Alright, so we're gonna fasten that on there. And I think just put a dab of paint on these screw heads and that'll hide them. Or maybe not, I don't know. I might just leave them exposed. I don't know. But paint the screw heads are harder to take off, you know, and that kind of thing. This will make it especially nice because it's self-contained to maintain the glow plug module. I could have sanded this blade a little better and made it look a lot more professional, but you know, I want to get this thing running, and it's just one more thing in the way of me getting it running. So I'm impatient. Those things can be done later if you want perfection. With me, you might get functionality, but not perfection. Okay, we got to wire this. It's a little bit slanted, but that's fine. So that'll stick out back. I gotta trim those nubbins off on those screws, so this won't seat properly, but that's fine. Wire this up, and we should only have 3 wires coming off: power, ground, and then output to the glow plug relay. So let's do that. Alright, for this side, where's some keys? Here we go. Alright. Power. Okay. So this isn't actually hooked up physically to the glow plugs yet, but should turn on for about 8 seconds. There we go. Okay. And this will bolt on nicely. So that's what that'll look like. I can still put a label up here. It says glow plugs. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not. It's fairly self-explanatory that that's a glow plug switch, and if you push it, you'll see what happens. Alright, we got to go into the engine compartment, and I've run the wire through the firewall, but I got to run it around and put it into a relay and put the glow plugs into a relay. Well, you'll see. Okay, so what I've got here is my glow plug relay. This is 40 amps. I don't know if it's going to be enough. You know, if the relay pops, we'll see. and you just put in a heavier relay. So I've got my meter hooked up to the output side of the glow plug. I should get a positive 12 volts out of that. So this relay should turn on the glow plugs, and we'll know because my meter is hooked up to it. That should be 12 volts for 8 seconds, but since there's only one of me, I'm gonna run around like a maniac. So I'm gonna put this up here, press it, light comes on. Okay, so we should have 12 volts. We do, a little less because it's drawing for the glow plugs, but oh, and it just switched off. Just got a millivolt trace signal there, that's fine. Okay, glow plugs are working, and I decided, since this is an engine control wire, I would just run it with the other engine controls through the firewall. Basically because I'm lazy and I'd already put the wire loom on, and I'm not going to open that up again. So I guess if you're checking your oil, you can just push that down there temporarily, I suppose. I don't know. And I'd like to, I don't know, I don't want to bend them too much. Anyway, so these are both the glow plug wires. It makes sense to run them together. You know, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Okay, unhook this. So that is an easy peasy glow plug circuit. And it was pretty cheap. I don't know, I don't remember how much exactly that timer cost. It wasn't horrifically expensive, you know, it might have been $30 or something. And of course I made the rest. This light was, I don't know, $10 for the light, just because it's a highly specialized light. There's only like 2 places that carried a 12 volt glow plug independent lamp like that that matched my other lamps. So, I'll turn your ignition off. So it wasn't that expensive. There's people who, you know, they'll buy a kit, you know, for a specialized engine or something, but when you have glow plugs right like this that are just on a rail, these are the old-fashioned type. They're just interconnected with a rail, and you know, the glow plugs ground and you run them all at once. There's no computer controls or anything for the glow plugs, and on a simple old system like this, this is all you have to do. I mean, the simplest thing, like I said, would be to put a switch in line, but then you got to turn it off again. And if your bulb burns out or something, then you got to remember. At least here you can hear the relay click if the bulb should burn out. A cheap Chinesian bulb, but yeah. Okay, all right. So that is glow plugs. And now we have, I believe, complete engine controls on this thing for the most part. And it's all in the cab. You don't have to run around hooking up wires temporarily or anything, and start is from the key and all that other business, which we didn't even have before from the previous builder of this truck. So we are getting somewhere. So I looked up the price for that timer, and I was wrong. I had said it was like 40 bucks or something. It was $13.96 shipped to my door. And now I remember looking back, that's why I chose it, because it was affordable, and if it didn't work, I was only losing, you know, 14 bucks. And of course we had the switch that was part of the coolant tank already, but I have a bunch of switches anyway, and switches are a couple bucks. You know, you just want a momentary switch, and the glow plug light was like another $10, I think I said. And that seems about right, because I had to order it from like China or something, because nobody carries them that actually have like a glow plug symbol on it. I don't know why. Weird. I'm sure you can, if you dig far enough, you can find them, but $10 was the cheapest I found. So for $23.96, we got a glow plug timer, which is a lot better than a $100 kit. So I'm happy with that. It works, and it's adjustable. I can adjust it from 0 to 10 seconds every time you hit that switch. So I'm quite happy with that. Oh, and the cost of the relay, I did neglect to mention that. You'd have to buy a relay for like $5 or $10 or whatever they cost. I don't know. I buy them in bulk, so I'm not sure. And wires and a few fittings, and you know, so call it $30 till it's all said and done. You know, these are like off-the-shelf parts. That timer, you can find compatible timers, and you know, they have the same base on them even for the most part. So you can find compatible timers online. It's kind of an industry standard kind of thing for industrial stuff. And relays are cheap, and switches, and that's pretty much all the thing is. Very simple and easy to do. So hopefully this helps someone. This is why I broke it out into a separate video, because anybody searching how to do a simple glow plug timer circuit on the cheap, well, this is how you do it. So, I mean, well, this is one way how you do it. I'm sure I did some things wrong, and maybe there's ways to do it cheaper. I don't know, but anyway, this is a good way to do it. So, if you like this, feel free to like, subscribe. We do appreciate it. Every subscription makes me happy and helps move this channel forward and helps to help other people. So, that is part of my goal. So, hopefully, like I said, this helps someone. And as always, thanks for watching.